So do you think overall the sentiment was valid?
Do I think the sentiments were valid
Yeah.
around people losing their heads because of an Olympic opening ceremony?
Yeah, which is somehow a depiction of the Last Supper.
Okay, if you say depiction of the Last Supper,
It
right?
came off like that, like the way the thing is the way it was set up. In as much as they came out, is it the what is it? The IOC, I think.
Was that like an Olympic committee? Okay,
Yes,
yeah, cool.
exactly. International Olympic Committee actually came out and they confirmed that. Oh no, it's not really the Last Supper. That was not meant to depict the Last Supper. It was
Okay.
meant to depict like the Dionysus, actually, since he's like the god of merriness and joy
Exactly.
and
I mean,
celebration.
it's an
So
occasion to celebrate, right?
exactly, to
Yeah.
some extent, it represents that unity amongst people and it bridges the gap, between human beings.
I mean, that's what the Olympics are for. Those circles, those concentric circles, represent that bond. You know, we're bridging gaps, we're building unity and community through sports, through just having a bunch of nations together. I mean, that's in fair spirit, and it definitely links in with what the Olympics are all about, I'd say.
Okay, a lot of people are still outraged. They're like, "Oh no, you! What can I say? You making fun, a mockery out of Christian tradition."
And to sit here and let France mock the country, mock your religion, make fun of every single thing you feel holy. This is the Last Supper. This is everything holy about Christianity. And we say absolutely nothing about it and say, oh, you cannot even complain. What are we doing wrong by saying that this is disgusting? This is not art.
I don't know when the Last Supper, the painting,
Okay,
became Christian tradition.
is it not? Is it not Christian
It's
tradition?
art, bro. It's art. It's art.
Is it not meant to depict the Last Supper?
Yes, fine, but the key word there is depict. So this is what Da Vinci had in his head that the Last Supper might have looked like. I mean, this was done a couple hundred years. No, what, 1,000 years? Maybe? Yeah, bro, there was no way he was there to see what that looked like, or even had the the remotest idea what that might have looked like.
Exactly.
So if you look at the Last Supper, it's such a grandiose painting. Like it looks like a royal banquet. There's ornaments of silver and gold, and it looks like proper, or what looks like, or what appears to be proper ornaments. And
Okay.
it looks like a royal feast more than anything.
Yeah.
But if you understand that Jesus and his disciples were they were anything but royal, or am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying it right. Yeah.
So they weren't royal like that,
Exactly.
basically. So they wouldn't have had a supper even close to that. So it wasn't as grand as what Da Vinci makes it look like. So
Okay.
it's a
okay.
depiction. It's
Okay.
art.
So it's the outrage is not valid.
The outrage is absolutely invalid. There's no reason why anyone should be outraged at that. Like, that's just clout seeking for me. I don't know why you'd be outraged at someone depicting the Last Supper like that. Like, what?
Okay, but okay, before I take your side, I just want to push back quite a bit. But do you think the involvement of drag queens, because majority of the characters are drag queens and people who are presenting like the trans community and all this, do you think it was necessary really? Because there were kids involved there and a lot of people don't want to see that because I think majority of people in France are actually Christian. They identify as Christian. So to some extent, do you think that was somehow targeted towards them? Do you think to some extent they wanted to rub them off in one way or another? And do you think, was it proper for them to do that using drag queens and all this? They could have taken another different approach, demonstrating the sport and all that.
You know what? They could have, but I mean, art is really subjective, and what people find to be creative
Yeah.
is likewise subjective. Yes, fine. France is a predominantly Christian country. They have traditional Christian values.
Okay.
We know this very much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I believe that in them doing what they're doing, they're more like going with the times
Okay.
because it's socially acceptable to embrace different gender identities. It's socially acceptable to make people feel included, which pretty much is what the Olympics is trying to do, right? We want to be inclusive. So it's not so much of a stretch to imagine that you'd have those people there, because then it kind of ties in a way with what the Olympics might be about. Inclusivity. So yeah, cool. But then again, there's the fact that there's kids in that thing.
That's the thing. That's the thing everyone was actually against.
And a lot of people have been really vocal about this. Like, why would you wanna involve kids in things that's got to do with sexuality? Because like now, kids need to choose their gender or whatever from as young as, I don't know, 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. I think that's where a lot of people are pushing back. It's like, okay, guys, I think you are going a bit much, because now you're rubbing this in our faces.
Yeah, fine. I mean, this is national TV and it's international TV. Because everybody's going to see this,
exactly.
right?
No, it's international.
It's everybody. Everyone's going to see this, and you're setting a trend in a way, because now what happens in the West and what is popular in the West must definitely find its way in other parts of the world and become acceptable.
And a lot of people don't want that.
Rightly so. They have every right not to want that.
Exactly, because if they've seen how the West has just deteriorated in terms of like their social structure.
I mean, that again is subjective. Social structure deterioration, yes.
Yeah.
But what are they good at? You know, their economy is strong. Standard of living is relatively better.
A lot of people, Chris, actually put morality above everything else.
That's true, but
I mean, you might have a proper infrastructure, everything, governmental system is working fine, but morally, if people are not on point, then morally, okay, let's put it, it's a very subjective thing, but morally, based on other regions, right? If people are not right, if the morality is not straight, then people consider everything just useless.
Yeah.
For some people, morality is everything, bro.
And that's true, bro. For a lot of people, morality is everything. And, you know, I'd be so happy if there were more people like that. But the sad truth is those people are such a small minority that they might as well not count.
Damn. No, but no.
No, I promise you. Like,
no, bro.
Listen, bro.
Think about our African countries as well.
Still, even I'm talking about our African countries. I don't live in the first world, bro. So I'm talking about what I know. Morality is great on paper. In practice, look.
Not so much. Or do you think it's not really morality, but religiosity?
Religiosity to
and
some
tradition,
extent.
And
yes,
tradition.
Okay, fine. Yeah. And
religiosity
tradition.
and tradition.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe I didn't word it properly. It's not really morality. I think it's more tradition. We don't want our tradition to wither away.
I think if we're looking at it from that angle, then I agree with you properly, because a lot of times, and I think this goes across the globe, people are wanting to preserve their traditions.
Okay.
You're seeing a lot of nationalist movements, even in Europe.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the sentiment these days. A lot of people really do want to hold on to their tradition because they're seeing that we are moving so far away from what we are comfortable with.
Okay.
And we are going to get something that is foreign to us, and we are forced to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. And I think that's the same thing somehow this ceremony posed to people. People watching that, they were like, hell no, you actually now forcing us to accept this. This is no longer, would you be willing to participate in this? This is more like, whether you like it or not, you're going to face it.
Yeah, you are going to face it. In that case, I fully understand where people are coming from if they complain about it depicting the Last Supper. Because even if...
Because also, the person, I think it was Joe Rogan, because I wouldn't say this. Maybe YouTube is going to have a problem with this. Joe Rogan said something along the lines of the person responsible for setting up this whole thing, the opening and everything, belongs to the LGBTQIA community.
Oh.
It should be more athlete focused for sure, and not so much like a show or
they
like
let
this,
some
like,
wacky gay dude get a hold of the reins, and he decided to do this, and that's what it was. It's literally what it is. That's literally what it is. and he just decided to
Joe
have
Rogan.
a guy in a beard. But this is true. I mean, this is the actual person that put it together. That is who he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know
yeah,
that.
they know who the guy is. I mean, we don't need to name him, but
Okay.
He's just getting enough hate as it is. But the whole thing's fucking completely insane. But my point is the whole Olympics are insane. They're robbing people. They're robbing the athletes. No one is tuning in. There's not billions of people all over the world tuning in just to see a bunch of transsexuals pretend to be Jesus and the disciples. That's not why they're tuning in. They're tuning in to see who's going to win the 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
Who's going to...
So according to Joe Rogan, they were pushing LGBTQIA agenda
Exactly.
in broadcasting that segment.
Exactly. That's the outrage.
That's the outrage, basically.
Yeah.
I'd need a bit more evidence. I can't really comment on that. I mean, that's what Joe Rogan's saying. Fine. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. But I think my empathy is with the people. Like, my opinion's changed a little bit. I can empathize with people who are saying we feel offended that it depicts the Last Supper. Because in as much as it's art, it's got greater symbolism for a lot of people, right? I might look at it as art. Somebody might be like, no, this is sacred.
Exactly.
And even if it's got to do with a Greek deity and with merriment and other things, it's coming too close to what I believe is fundamentally correct and what I believe in. So
It's sort of a mockery.
it is a mockery
Yeah.
if you're looking at it from
It's a
there.
mockery,
So
yes.
I can totally sympathize with that. As far as pushing LGBTQIA plus agenda, I don't know. That's a slippery slope, honestly.
You think that's false?
You know what? Maybe, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're not. Let's just say they're rolling with the punches. They're seeing what's popular. You know, counterculture is on the rise. So, hey, why don't we do an Olympic ceremony that has counterculture?
Okay. And in closing, do you still remember we covered, I think, I do believe we did cover this on, it was Lil Nas X.
Yes.
And do you still remember the marketing tactic he was using in order to like push his sales and numbers and all?
Yeah, we took the Christian angle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think to some extent, maybe, I'm not saying they did, I'm just saying, do you think maybe that's the same approach they took? In order to sell the Olympics and for people to really talk about the openings, let's make it as outrageous as possible so that people can really talk about it.
You know what? Your point is, I'm really starting to think that yes, maybe, because, and I'll tell you why. Prior to this, France had an election.
Okay.
And there's a rise in right-wing movement within France, within most of Europe, right?
Okay.
So the fact that the right-wing people didn't win, this could have been like giving them the finger to say, hey, look, you guys actually lost. Like, we're going to parade it in your faces. And maybe looking at it from a Christian perspective, right? Considering who the audience is, right? The French people, traditionally Christian country.
Exactly.
That could have been an additional marketing tactic. Whether or not you want to piss off the people you're marketing to is another question. But clearly it works. I mean, we're talking about it.
Okay, yeah, okay, it makes a lot of sense. The mere fact that we're actually talking about it means it worked.
If that was the intention, like if they intended it for that, it worked because we're talking about it.
Okay, I said one last point, but okay, this is a last point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you think, because personally I think it's very much unnecessary, and the mere fact that as a believer or as a religious person, you would move to the tune of like the secular world and what they're really doing says a lot. Because in as much as, yes, it's depicting the Last Supper, but in its actuality, is it really depicting the Last Supper? Of course not. It was just Da Vinci, out of his creativity and all, painted that whole picture. So it shouldn't really be associated with what you believe in, right? Fine. That's my perspective. Now, the point is, what would you say about believers that were just somehow just reacting and...
Yeah, they were just like
Yeah.
throwing in comments and saying
exactly,
it
and be like, oh no, they're attacking our things. What do you say? Do you really think, yes, this is the point, they're unaware of it, that they're moving with secular trends that are offending them, and them in doing that are actually promoting these secular trends quite more?
So basically, are they just going with the crowd and actually doing themselves a bigger disservice?
Exactly.
In a way, yes, I think so, because if something has been put out to get a reaction out of you,
Yeah.
and it does actually get a reaction out of you, it does not deter the source
Yeah.
anymore from doing the same thing again and again and again.
Okay.
So if, let's say, they wanted people to react
Okay.
as a result of this,
Yeah.
right, and then believers were thrown into the fray and then they reacted as well,
Yeah.
it's what they wanted. That was the outcome that best suited them. So that means it's now you're creating your own nightmare. where
Okay. You're in a circle that.
You're in a circle because now, if let's say they let this fly, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, so we know how to get these people riled up, okay?
Yeah.
Cool. We know exactly what buttons to press. So
They
we're going to press
do.
that button again.
They do. If they really want to create traffic, I do believe they do.
Yeah.
At this point, they've got believers in a chokehold. I mean, a lot of people don't even actually sit and just think about, okay, wait, why am I reacting like this? I mean, to some extent, okay, I think this is also a bit tricky. Do you think they should fight for the respect for what they believe in?
Should they fight for the respect? I think they do have the right to fight for the respect of what they believe in.
So that means the outrage, the outburst, and the pushback was valid.
To some extent, right? It's so difficult to gauge this, honestly.
Okay.
Because, look, if I'm genuinely convinced
Yeah.
that the Last Supper is a sacred piece of Christian history,
Yeah.
then I have every right to be offended if I see something that's depicting it in a way that is contrary to my belief.
Okay.
By
Sure.
having transgender people sitting there or something, right?
And Dionysus.
And Dionysus, for example.
Yeah. Knowing that Dionysus has always been compared to Jesus.
Fine. If I believe that genuinely, then
Yeah.
I've got every right to say, no, guys, I think this is wrong, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't use my faith in that way.
Okay.
Fine. Some people's, in that case, then yeah, the argument is valid. But then you must understand that not everybody sees it like that. So it's quite subjective, because if I'm not looking at it from that perspective, and I'm just like, oh wow, a cool opening ceremony with a blue guy and a bunch of people there.
So it's a matter of perspective.
It really is a matter of perspective. But
Okay.
to answer your question, yes, I do believe people should be able to defend what they think is sacred, and should be able to be like, yo, put some respect on what I believe in.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna lose a lot of things, and we're gonna be doing injustice not only to the faith, but to a lot of different things, bro. If things stop meaning anything, then we'll stop caring about them, and eventually I believe we lose them.
Okay, that's true. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Valid.
Yeah.
We've covered enough ground?
I think we have covered enough ground. We'll let our viewers tell us what they think.
Yeah, you guys
as
decide.
usual, please drop us a comment. Tell us what you think. Should people be justified in being so defensive about what happened at the Olympic opening ceremony?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, why do you justify that? What's your justification? And if you've got something else to say, by all means, comment section's right there. And yeah, just tell us what you think.
Exactly. So that's it, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll be seeing you on the next one.